Hi, it's Llarold, and I'm going to do some pontificating about delves in this video because I think they are in extremely bad shape right now, and they need to be fixed. So let's take a closer look at what's been going on, the Torghastification of delves, what's wrong with them right now, and give some feedback on what could make this system actually be good and fun, instead of tedious and painful. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, the algorithm gods have been appeased. Let me start with my experience in delves. I ran them in the beta, and early on I really liked them. Then they made them much harder, much more like they are now, and I thought they sucked. They missed the point of being solo content for players who don't feel confident in themselves to do Mythic Plus or LFR, or maybe don't have time to coordinate with other people. The absolute peak of the reward structure of delves, even the weekly cash stuff, is below Mythic Raid, so the difficulty of the content should be relatively low. In my opinion, about normal raid, maybe you could even say up to heroic raid, whatever. Then they nerfed them on the beta. They did release around that level, and I actually thought they were really good. Like, I thought they were completely fine, pretty easy, but in a way that I think is good. I still have some other criticisms that I'll get to later on, but I actually thought they were pretty much dead on. I thought they were great. I have done a lot of delves on 11 in the post-buff state of delves, like over this weekend, and I don't really feel like doing more because there is no reward for doing them at all, other than knowing that I've wasted some time, and I just don't think that they're a fun challenge right now. To be frank, I am doing this video right now, I am recording this video right now because I thought it would be more fun to talk about delves than to actually run them. And I haven't failed a single delve either. I'm not worried about failure. That wouldn't bother me. I just haven't, because this isn't hard content for me. I'm a Mythic Raider. I'm good at video games, I enjoy a challenge, and I'm one of the better geared players in the world. That's kind of where I'm at, right? I love the Mage Tower. I did it when it came out on all of my characters. I wiped a ton, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I got mad. I like to yell at the game while I'm like dying, but it was fun. It was an experience that I really loved. I love Elden Ring, I love PoE, I like challenging games. It doesn't seem like Blizzard knows what they want delves to be. Are they supposed to be borderline trivial outdoor content for players who feel overwhelmed by content like normal raids and Mythic Zero dungeons, or are they supposed to be brutal, unrelenting challenges that significantly exceed the individual difficulty of heroic raiding and high-level Mythic Plus? I feel as though I have to ask this question because they keep changing delves between those two extremes, and they are nowhere close to a balance. Much worse, they seem to have hit a balance where the reward structure is below world quests, or at most normal raid, but then the monsters within +8 delves hit harder than heroic Queen Ansurek in a 30-man raid. Not an exaggeration. So over the past week, people started realizing that delves actually got easier in groups, and not in a mini hands make light work kind of way, but in the sense that having a second person in your group, if they went AFK and made a sandwich at the start of the delve, would actually make the delve easier. The health of monsters and the damage of monsters would go down by like 50 or 60% by having a second person compared to doing it solo. Blizzard set out to fix this problem, and they also, I guess, deduced that delves were just undertuned across the board, evidently, so they buffed them. Again, this was not a pre-release thing or an isolated scaling bug fix. It was something that they rolled out while delves were already out. The season was already going. Players were running them. People were having a time doing delves, and then Blizzard just made them radically more difficult. Suddenly, monsters had 10 times more health and damage. Sunset and I ran a delve post-buff in which we took over 3 minutes to kill the final boss of a delve. Absolute training dummy monster. Zero mechanics, totally bored out of our minds, yelling back and forth at each other about how bored we are and how fun it was not being. It sucks. Awful. And then they nerfed them twice, then they stealth buffed them, and they just seem to be all over the place in terms of what they're trying to do with delves and what they are. They just buffed and nerfed Brann while I was working on this video. Much like running a blender with the lid off, this is all one big mess. Now, Brann is buggy. He's had problems where his scaling wouldn't work correctly for some classes. Just to give an example from our previous video, this is a bit of feedback we saw just around in the world, in the wild, on Twitter, on Reddit. In our comment section as well, though, mages would report that Brann's health potions would hit for 10,000 health. I would look at the video where I'm being healed for 15% of my health pool, 10% of my health pool, which is 600,000 to 1 million health. They're getting 0.25% of their health from a healing potion. I'm getting 15%. That's not great. This was evidently a real bug that was fixed. Okay, good. The bug that was fixed today was sometimes he would just get the scaling of monsters in the delves and do millions of extra DPS. Both of these bugs have been fixed, but he's still all over the place. He is insanely strong in some moments. I will link this section here of a pull where I kill a pretty large pack of monsters in an 11 delve in 4 seconds. I'm actually going to play it multiple times because it's 4 seconds. It was faster to do this pull than it was to say one sentence. But then also he'll just go AFK mid-pull to pick herbs. He will sometimes interrupt when it's available, and sometimes he won't. He's really unpredictable in RNG, and that's absolutely fine for easy content that is tuned to have a bunch of extra slack. If you have a bunch of room to make mistakes, then it doesn't matter if the allegedly helpful NPC companion occasionally gets possessed by the ghost of a 19th century gold miner and runs off to get that color. If the content is tuned like a race to world first mythic prog raid and the NPC who does 70% of your DPS AFKs to go fish mid-combat, then that is a problem. Also, as of today's bug fix, Brann is just dead all of the time. He has 7.2 million health, or 7.42 million health, just like me, and he basically can't dodge any mechanics at all. Every avoidable skill in high-level delve deals tens, if not hundreds of millions of damage, so pretty much anytime a boss or elite monster uses a mechanic, I just did a plus 11 Fungal Folly right before recording this to test, and I believe this skill is Fungal Storm. The boss would cast Fungal Storm, Brann goes, "Oh, time to run into melee range and die in one tick." The operation was a success, but the patient died. This is not surprising to me because he wasn't designed with the intent that monsters would deal this much damage. The whole system was not made to be a Mythic Raid or high-level Mythic Plus equivalent. It was made, and more importantly, it was pitched to the community as an LFR or normal raid equivalent. They never said those exact specific words, but that was the intention here. It was tuned and intended to not be even up to the level of heroic raid. The reward structure isn't up to the level of heroic raid. There are also a lot of bugs. I have had so many deaths to just jumping into the entry hole and instead of falling safely into water, hitting the ground and dying instantly. There are monsters evading and resetting everywhere. There are objectives throughout delves that just simply don't work. My favorite is in Fungal Folly. There's a snake man named Castrick who will make you play Simon Says, and sometimes you'll play Simon Says correctly and check it back on the video to make sure you're not insane, and you've played it correctly and he just says, "Nope, wrong, you didn't." Or he will make you play Simon Says and there will be 2 correct answers, just multiple correct answers, like a poorly made Sudoku. This kind of thing is frustrating and concerning. So now I kind of want to wrap up with some proposed solutions to some of the serious problems in delves. I think problem number 1 is that Brann sucks or is dead, or both, and this is really a symptom of the system being massively overtuned for what it's supposed to be. Boosting his damage, his healing, health, or even just giving him like a big damage reduction or a could work, but that's like a bandage over a gushing wound. Another really common criticism I've seen is that there are way too many caster mobs for any specs except for Prot Paladin or Vengeance Demon Hunter to be able to deal with. And this is definitely true. There are a lot of pulls where I'll walk in and they're all leashed together and there might be 4 caster mobs. If you're on a priest, you might as well just leave. You cannot deal with that many casters all at once if you're playing a spec that doesn't have an interrupt at all. Now, the proposed solution I've mainly seen is to nerf the caster mobs' amount of spells or do something to make them cast less. Again, I think the best fix is to nerf their damage. If spells don't hit insanely hard, does it really matter if it's a spell versus an auto attack? Do you think people complaining about the number of casters in the delves would be happy if all those casters were replaced with auto attackers that hit for half of your health with every swing? Of course not. The problem is, once again, that the damage is too high, not really the flavor that the damage comes in as. If it comes in as shadow damage or physical, who cares if it kills you in 2 seconds? That's really the problem. It's normal mode content tuned to a mythic level. Alright, another problem that I haven't seen criticism of, and I'm throwing out here, coffer keys are dumb. They are bonus homework on top of doing homework. I get the idea. They are a finite cap on the amount of high-level rewards possible per character from delve per week. 4. You can just let us get higher level gear from the first couple of delves of the day though. You don't need this extra hoop for us to jump through. Instead, this adds chores. You have to do the Awakening the Machine event, the worst event ever made. I do not understand how we've moved backwards from Mists of Pandaria's Proving Grounds in the past 12 years, but we absolutely have. I would actually prefer the Proving Grounds. But at the very least, if you just gave us a gong for awakening the machine and let me do all 20 waves at the same time, I would feel a little bit less bad about it, but really, coffer keys just in general are not good. They also kind of highlight another problem, which is that non-bountiful delves give 554 item level gear. This is true even at a plus 11 level. It makes 0 sense. Content that is on the level of high level Mythic Plus or Mythic rating should not be given gear below the World Quest and BOE green level. It's preposterous. I don't actually think that giving LFR gear at that level would work either, since you generally aren't going to want or need LFR gear if you're operating at the level where you can do plus 11s. I would also not settle for just cosmetics, because this is supposed to be a legitimate in-game mode, a pillar of WoW on par with rating, Mythic Plus, or PvP. So what do? If it were me, and I mean, whatever, I'm making the suggestions here, I would make delves ram so many Valor Stones down your throat that you choke on them. Right now, delves grant 25 Valor Stones on completion. Upgrading a weapon costs 400. Not even including crests, just going off Valor Stones alone, that is 12 delves to upgrade a weapon one time. We're talking about 2 to 3 hours of your life of grueling slog for 3 item levels on one piece of gear. I would give 500 Valor Stones for the first delve of the day, and then 250 for subsequent ones. This would make delves less irritating. I would definitely go back in there. There really isn't a reason for me to go back in there after this week, but if I got a massive amount of Valor Stones out of them, that would feel like something that is uniquely useful, and I would definitely go back in there just for those. Now, Valor Stones could definitely be their own video, but I'll leave it at this. They are an infinitely grindable currency, and they should be a quick, abundant reward for engaging in content in the game of any flavor, rather than something that you do in fact have to infinitely grind in order to afford a single gear upgrade. Alright, let's wrap things up. I am supremely disappointed in the state of delves right now, and I think that's because I had really high expectations coming in. They were the thing I was most excited about in the run up to this expansion, because I thought they filled a void that this game has had for a long time. Repeatable, rewarding solo content. I play all 6 tanks, I play them all at a high level. I don't want to play non-tanks and group content because, to be honest, I don't really trust other tanks to do the job to my liking. But I do like playing non-tanks. I like DPSing. And I really want something in this game I can do on my Rogue, Evoker, Shadow Priest, insert DPS here, that isn't just the Mage Tower, which you do once, and then what, are you gonna just sit around and do the Mage Tower all day? Or like world quests. I also think the idea of simple introductory content with low stakes and low pressure is good for helping bring people into the game. And if you like WoW and want it to survive long term, then you do want new blood. The game requires new blood be sacrificed to Blizzard in order for it to continue staying alive. WoW did a very poor job of retaining and drawing in players over the course of several expansions. This is something Blizzard has talked about openly. Dragonflight, The War Within, and the future of WoW seem to be dedicated to that premise. Get new players, make them stick around, make them enjoy themselves. It's a really smart move. I commend them for having it. I like the direction that WoW is currently going in for the most part, and I really want delves to be good. I want them to succeed. I like the base premise a lot. I think they were mostly successful, weird scaling bugs notwithstanding, until the decisions that Blizzard has made and rolled out all these different hotfix buffs and nerfs over the past 4 days or so. Once they started doing this, they've basically been recreating all the sins they made with Torghast. And that's really, really disappointing because I feel like they should have learned from those mistakes and all of the negative feedback that came with them. It's like if you offered me a ham sandwich, the classic, and then somewhere between bites 2 and 3, when I wasn't looking, you smeared peanut butter on it. I like ham sandwiches, I like peanut butter sandwiches. Mythic raid difficulty with normal raid rewards is a ham and peanut butter sandwich. I could be happy with one, I could be happy with the other, but I do not want another bite of the cursed PB&H. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.